Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of Rapid Unscheduled Discussion. My name is Seth, and I am your host today, and I'm here with the shaggy Cajun, Daryl Sausse.
That's a good one. We'll get something worked out eventually. Hey, everybody, I'm Daryl Sausse. All you cool cats and kittens, I guess. I don't know. Tiger King is apparently still a thing, so I'm still saying it for a while. Joining us tonight, our special guest, Dustin Smith. Say hi, Dustin.
What's up, guys? I'm Dustin. I got my degree in aerospace engineering from the University of Florida. Love rocket science, and I am so glad to be talking to these two great people who love space almost as much as I do.
We definitely love talking about it. Who doesn't? You anybody else who's a fan of this stuff, and none of us can just shut up about it. So
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
The best conversations to have. Just find two random rocket nerds out, and you're just like, dude, you see that SpaceX launch? Oh, yeah, I see that SpaceX launch. You just all of a sudden just go
So
into it all.
good.
Yeah.
You seen this one? You remember this one? Oh, do you know the first time this happened? This obscure thing? Like, yeah, I remember that random obscure thing. That was on date, this mission, that mission, that launch, all that stuff.
Yeah, and the crazy stuff down here is that a lot of people don't get to go to launches down here, so they all watch them like, yeah, I was there for that one. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I was. Because I'm stupid and I pay a lot of money to go see launches.
I'm more surprised that there are people who live in that area, not just like over in Orlando or down where you're at, Seth. I mean, like right next to KSE. They'll live in Titusville, they'll live in Cocoa Beach, and they do not give a damn. There's a girl I know who lives here. She's in the same kickball league as me, and we got to talking before. She's like, yeah, that stuff used to drive me nuts whenever they would launch something at 3 a.m. I used to get so pissed. She's like, I hated rocket launches all the time. I'm happy to be away from them. And I literally felt my heart. Like, this who is this girl?
I mean, it's like
and why is she
people
talking to
in
me?
New Orleans not liking, what is it called? What is the festival called again? I just blanked.
You need to figure this one out on your own. I'm already insulted. I know what you're.
I don't want to do it anymore because I feel like it's never mind. Let's just stop because I don't even remember. I just blanked.
It's Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras. That's right. Mardi Gras.
Don't be that guy.
It's like people in New Orleans not liking Mardi Gras. Like you live in Mardi Gras. You are Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
When you grow up with it and you've dealt with the pain in the butt of going out to parades so many times in your life, it gets a little old. So it's okay to get away from it.
I'm from
still
Wisconsin.
appreciate
And I
it.
still love cheese, man. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So
She have a 3-week-long festival.
no, we have a
With hundreds of
365-day
thousands
long
of drum-
festival. It's called the cheese section in the grocery
Yeah.
store. It's a festival every day. Fresh cheese every day. It's great. Fresh. You get your port wine cheese and your crackers. Oh.
And you see, we're talking about stuff to talk about space stuff at the moment.
Right.
You really got to dig for it.
Yeah. So we did have a launch
Yeah.
of those last week, which I don't think.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, and nowadays it's like, oh my gosh, a launch. Yeah. It was a crude launch. MS-16. 3 more.
Right.
Civilians, not civilians, so I think they're all pilots. But like 3
Yeah.
more humans going up to the ISS, 2 cosmonauts and an American NASA astronaut.
Chris Cassidy. That's right. 3 more people demonstrating the ultimate example of social distancing. I mean,
Ching.
right?
Yeah,
And
There's no such thing as social distancing on Soyuz.
right?
I think they were in quarantine for like a month.
Yeah, they extended the quarantine.
So yeah.
So
But I learned during that webcast because I everybody's sleep schedule is out of whack now. I just happened to be young. I was watching for like hour and a half. I was watching it live on TV, not an actual webcast.
look at you.
They But when they showed one of those couches just like sitting there on its own, like my God, they literally put these into the fetal position before you eat them in the face. What the hell? Like it's really uncomfortable.
But it's reliable.
It's like knees in the chest.
That is, it's, and like I think there was a picture of like one of the Chris Cassidy, because I think Chris Cassidy's like 6 foot or something like that. Like, I think he's pretty. Him trying to like do any sort of adjustment to get stretch out, and you can't move your legs in there because there is no leg room, and they're strapped down as well.
Yep.
They have straps across their knees.
Yep.
And he kind of like moved stuff back, and like, you didn't do anything with that, did you? That wasn't helpful at all, was it? But this was the first. It was actually a new rocket for it was a new rocket. Soyuz 2.
It was an upgrade.
They've officially retired the Soyuz Fregat for, ever, I think. They retired that. That's what the crew launches were on before, and now they're on the Soyuz 2-1A. Soyuz 2.
I didn't catch it.
Which now has a digital, digital computer instead of analog like before.
It's 2020. What took Russia so long?
Actually, it wasn't Russia. It was actually NASA and the international partners. Russia wanted to do it. All the international partners were, because it was coming down to the end of the shuttle era when they wanted to do this. It was actually they already had a deadline for the shuttle era at this point, and they wanted to do this update so they could do. It was just an improvement, and the international community was like, do it, but make sure it's well tested beforehand. And they didn't really push it, but they kept doing it, but it wasn't the mainstream thing. So
yeah.
So the one plus of having digital is now you can roll. The Soyuz, the R7 family never rolled.
Nope. They spun the entire pad.
Not until Soyuz 2.
Yep.
And they just rolled the pad and just pitched over. Which, is rough. I feel like it's sad because they don't do that now. It's like, oh, now Russia's like modern and stuff. I like the whole little, let's rotate the pad.
You like the whole Stone Age of rocketry that the Russians were living? Don't get me wrong, it works. It works.
Yeah, man, the Russians are like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
If I had to choose right now, if I was going to go to space, if I would go to space, and I had to choose choose your ride up, I would choose the Soyuz.
Ooh.
The Dragon is nice, but Soyuz, you're probably gonna live. They've never lost a crew on ascent. They've only lost a crew on descent due to depressurizing.
Yep.
Which they fixed. That was the only time they've ever how many hundreds of launches that they've had?
A bunch.
And they've had obviously problems, but
they had an abort. Yeah.
They had an abort, and they've had. Was it just that one abort? I'm trying to think. There was a second abort I thought they had.
That we know of from Russia.
Yeah. During fueling or something like that, kind of.
I think
memory that's kind of escaping me.
They had I think they had an on-pad abort.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had an on-pad abort, but that was a long time ago. They had an on-pad abort. That was before they launched.
Isn't the 1970s? I think
it's like the 70s or the 80s. I think they had an on-pad abort.
Yeah,
but then
it was like Apollo era, sometime like Gemini or Apollo.
It was between Apollo and Shuttle. I think it was.
Was it?
Yeah, I think so. And then
that was back when they wouldn't talk about it because international partners were obviously not involved.
Yeah. They were secretive.
Yeah.
But yeah, then they had that abort with the. Was Chris Cassidy on that one as well? No. That was the MS-15.
That was
MS-15. But it was a crew of 2, and that was where they had the bent pin in the joint.
A crew of 2, so they could stretch out on launch and
no, they still couldn't stretch out.
Oh,
this is strapped in there, man. It's not like an airplane where you get to lay across the seats when you have a whole aisle to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that was certainly an interesting failure. How the Bears didn't cross and
Yeah,
ran
it was
back
a
into
lopsided
the side
cross.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it stuck around a little
came
longer.
out and then boom, hit that.
Oh, I guess I do, guys, because we're not live stream. I do have to continue sharing my screen with you guys.
Speaking of that, I only pull off my first Crowley of Cross and Kerbal. Yeah.
How? That's the easiest thing to do. You throw 4 boosters on and you just separate them. They do it automatically.
The problem is, whenever I throw boosters on, my boosters have the diameter of a Saturn V.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right, that makes sense.
Because I completely overbuild everything.
Hey, I mean, if it's worth building, it's worth overbuilding.
Yes.
See, in Kerbal, it's hard to get a perfect core left cross because the boosters actually come outward, and then they
break.
They pull out of their sockets and they come out like this, and then they flip out. So they go in and then they go out.
They don't go up in Kerbal. They just.
So in Kerbal, they just.
Yeah, it is break off like any normal staging.
Yeah.
But I feel like that would just be way too much work.
Oh no. Wait, the reason I've had trouble with it so long is because I put Separatrons on everything now, and I had these lined up perfect for once. And so when they went off, they actually split and flowered out properly and everything like that. It was really pretty.
Yeah.
I should have recorded it, but I didn't.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
the worst part is when you misalign the Separatrons a little bit, and instead of them coming out perfectly, they start spinning and they
bang into everything
into the abyss. Exactly.
Mine always end up colliding and breaking and blowing up afterwards. Like you just, it's like, oh, I'm gonna have a cool separation. And all of a sudden they just all collide and hit each other. Okay, well that wasn't. It's functional. It's whatever.
Oh yeah.
One sad thing though about the Soyuz 2, now that we're moving to the Soyuz 2, is that new launch pad. We're no longer using Launchpad 1, I believe it was. Yeah, Launchpad 1, which is admittedly called Gagarin Start, because that was the launchpad that Yuri Gagarin launched at, which is just celebrated its 59th anniversary yesterday. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like that's like NASA retiring 39A. It should never happen.
Yeah.
I feel more upset that because of quarantine issues and everything like that, the astronaut P thing is not happening.
Oh my god, you and astronaut P, bro. You keep on wanting to bring it up.
I mean,
we had the Yuri's Night stream. You were just like Chris Hadfield P.
You wrote it down too.
I wrote it down too.
We took notes on the Yuri's Night stream of things we might have wanted to chat about that came up during Yuri's Night. You know, we wrote down Chris Hadfield's P, and honestly, really early on into the stream,
I got the list right here.
Where did your list stop?
It stopped at Bill's Laws. Yuri's Night. It's Yuri's Night and The Feeling's Right.
Oh, you got much further than I did.
It goes Chris Hadfield's P. Test Shot Starfish's Cat. Summer Santa Claus. Tommy Lee Jones, The Space Babushka. Astronauts Don't Talk to Each Other. Artemis Rap, which was the best rap ever.
Yes. Has anybody put a beat to it yet?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh.
Dustin, did you watch Yuri's Night?
Come here, Reddit.
I didn't get the chance to. I need to do that.
It's a good 4 hours.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna go back and watch certain parts. I think Bill Nye's section is the best, hands down.
Yeah.
It was really. I mean, Daryl, you didn't know because you were talking the entire time with the other guys. I muted you guys during Bill's part.
We all shut up because Becca told us to.
Yeah, then you guys started talking again, and then I think me and Becca just muted you guys. We just turned off the sound.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, that. Then we go Space Samoas. And then Bill's Laws. It's Yuri's Night, and The Feeling's Right.
I stopped at Summer Santa Claus.
See, the thing about Bill Nye was that everyone was waiting for Bill Nye, and then we thought when Bill Nye came, then we got Story Musgrave, and then it would end. Bill Nye came in at the 2 hour 45 minute mark.
Late.
Which was late. but also
Yes.
it was a 4.5-hour stream, I think.
Yeah, that was a little long.
Yeah. So I think they should definitely break that up in their sections and then post it individually, because like a lot of the sections were pretty good. Like the Korean astronaut section was good.
Yeah, she was
Bill
alright.
Nye's was good. Still sad that Story Musgrave didn't come by, because I was like, everyone was just hyping him up, how great his stories are, and then he didn't show up.
The best part of the night, cat.
No, best part obviously is Test Shot Selfish's cat. We got everyone the spam kitty and cat in the in the chat.
Yes. But we'll circle back to Yuri's night. But as far as launches go, we do have a Progress resupply mission coming up.
Yeah.
But there was a Starlink launch that was announced and then got put on indefinite hold. So
I'm not surprised by that.
I'm just like,
I don't
why
know.
even say anything in the first place? Unless something happened behind the scenes that we don't know about.
I feel like something did happen behind the scenes, because I feel like they wouldn't. Yeah. If it wasn't going to happen, they weren't going to say anything about it.
Yeah.
Because they were pretty adamant about the launch date, and all of a sudden today it was like, nope, no launch. I'm like,
yeah. But it seems that the next GPS launch has been delayed, but the X-37B launch remains on track for now.
Well, who's launching the X-37B this time?
I believe this time it's ULA.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. It's the Atlas. That's right.
Yes. You can tell about it. There's a fairing pic of it, like being packaged, and that's the inside of a ULA fairing, definitely.
Dustin, what did you want to say?
So as far as the Starlink postponement, do you think that's because of the booster failure for the engine?
I don't think so. I think it's virus related.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most everything else right now.
Because, they were pretty. I mean, if it was booster related, they wouldn't have a date. They wouldn't have released a date unless there was a mishap with scheduling that was the date, and then some intern who was doing the Twitter for updates just always like, oh, here's a date, and didn't know that there was an investigation still going on. But I don't think the investigation's going on anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I don't think. Well, if there is, we haven't hear anything, which doesn't sound like SpaceX. So maybe there is.
Just the 10B6.
I think I think they're too.
Always is.
I think it's their launch trajectory. I think they're too
murdered that booster.
Yeah, I think they're too confident with their launch trajectory. I think they're trying to get it too steep. Because they're now doing that one, that only single burn on the second stage to get in orbit.
Oh yeah, that's
which
right.
Which means they're most likely.
They lost 2 in a row like that.
They lost 2 in a row with that, and that's when they started losing them. When they started doing that.
Yeah.
Who I'm not, who am I? I'm just a guy who drinks and posts a podcast every Monday. So, who would I? Why would I know that? But we do have.
That's it for launches.
That's all we really have for launches. The rest of the news this week, really, we get the whole kind of field of news. You get some stuff with new rockets, some contracts, some moon stuff, some commercial crew stuff, and a little bit of recovery action. But first, let's switch over to go back to my screen. We have a little Tori. Not a little Tori. We have a little time lapse from Tori.
Oh yeah.
He's been going. I love that he made his own hashtag, Tori time lapse, and some more hardware upgrade at their decanter site for the Saturn V.
Decatur.
I know. I knew. As soon as I said it, I'm like, dang, it's Decatur. Some
Decatur.
Yeah, so we're gonna start seeing. I think there's another time lapse of them actually building the Centaur 5 as well. I didn't find that one, but I think I saw it. I just didn't save it. But yeah, they got more hardware going. You can see I love this little just popped in the booster here, and then they popped out, and then it's like how much work is done. I was just spread out across a couple days, but they're busy little bees.
Yep. They are.
Yeah. We also got more news about Vulcan. We got this week though. This is what I found. I found this chart interesting, very interesting.
That's amazing. Wow.
That currently all but I'm not sure if there's a line at the bottom of SRBs. Said they're gonna start launching in 2020. We've only had one Atlas launch, right?
This year? Yeah. No, two. Two. I'm sorry.
What was the first one?
Solar Orbiter.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So I'm not sure if this line includes Solar Orbiter and AEHF6, but because I'm looking forward to how the SOPs look like on the Atlas. Will they look like how they do in the renders, or are they going to throw that angled nose cone on them? It's going to be stealth SOPs and not. I don't know. I did ask him though, because if you see on the charts, pretty much says that 90% of the parts were flown. They've said it over and over again that they're going to start testing pieces on the Atlas. But this kind of breaks down. The payload fairing is 100%. It's they're estimated that it's going to have flown 33 times beforehand, and it does it for their stainless steel tanks, the RL10s, the software, the avionics, and then the only thing that will not fly is of course the BE4 engine. Because I mean, unless I've not learned enough about how how chemicals work. Pretty sure you can't throw RP1 and liquid oxygen inside a Bethalox engine, but
Sure. Why not?
Throw it together. Just figure it out. I'm sure it'll work just fine.
It's fine.
But I did ask him. He didn't say that. I asked if the flown tanks were orthogrid rather than isogrid, because they're switching the orthogrid on the Vulcan. And he said no, they were isogrid. So
did you guys get the chance to see Smarter Every Day's video?
Oh yeah.
The factory? That was incredible.
Yeah. That was a great video. Oh, that was
absolutely
great. We learned a lot from that video about all this stuff, and I love this. Like the second video was I think the best part, where he actually where Dustin actually brings up like SpaceX and like competition, and Tori just takes like a champs. It's like, we're defense contractors. Like that's what we are. Like they're not. They're commercial. Like they make great. They're defense contractors that make great rockets. So. Their prime business is the federal government, not the which if you look at their rockets, it's NASA and DoD, which they all launch.
Yep.
I'm trying to think the last non-government contract rocket mission.
Solar Orbiter.
Solar Orbiter was still. I mean, it was ESA, but.
You talking about non-space agency?
Yeah, government, like private industry. I don't think there is one.
Does GPS count?
No, GPS is Air Force.
Yeah.
I mean, they've launched
right.
DirecTV and stuff like that before.
Yeah, I guess before SpaceX, I think they did. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, when things were
5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And even still, that kind of has gone out to like Arianespace now. If you look at something like Arianespace put up a AT&T satellite last year from French Guiana.
Yeah, the Vega and the Ariane 5 I think are much cheaper.
Yeah,
compared to the Atlas and the Delta. But
the only reason that one sticks out in my head because I made a complaint online about how AT&T can spend millions of dollars to, throw up a new satellite, yet they're, laying off a bunch of people like me.
Oh man.
Yeah. But that was like way last year, back in November.
I did ask a follow-up with Tori though about if they were going to fly the orthogrid on the Atlas.
Because that's what that says.
I don't know. I asked follow-up, didn't get a reply. Actually, hold up. I did get a Twitter notification.
Uh-oh.
Oh, breaking news.
Oh.
No. Which I honestly I saw that coming because I think the orthogrid. I think the orthogrid is heavier than the isogrid, or it definitely changes the mass of it. The mass, I believe. it makes it stronger, but I think it makes it heavier. I think the trade off there's a trade off there that I don't think is possible with the Atlas.
Well, it's just your weight's different now too. I mean, years of building, you know what the weight is in all these
Yeah.
different configurations. Then you add on your payload, and you work on that. I think actually changing how the weight of the structure. Um, I asked the question of whether or not they fully fuel a vehicle for every launch and just throw away whatever fuel is left over, or do they adjust fuel amounts every mission, you know, depending on your payload weight, your target orbit, a little bit extra just in case, and that's it.
Yeah.
But I would assume that they fully fuel it every time because they know that weight. They know how it's going to respond and how to deal with that every time.
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense if they. I mean, I guess over the whole years, it would make sense they fill the same amount of fuel up because they just know it. But it would also, I mean, how it's already expensive enough, you might as well make it cheaper with less fuel, even though it's minuscule. The fuel's the cheapest part, but
Yeah, the price of a launch versus the price of fuel. It costs millions of dollars to make rockets. It's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars to make the fuel.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Which is why Starship
I
is going to
totally
be
agree.
such a big thing because you're just paying for fuel. I mean, the first couple launches you're going to be paying for also the R&D of the rocket and the development. But once they start,
the only rocket where it would be economic to work on do the fuel and would probably be Starship, only because with Starship the cost of fuel would the cost of fuel versus the cost of the actual vehicle would
offset.
be a bit offset exactly.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's gonna be. I think it's the price. I mean, hopefully the first launch doesn't fail because like the first commercial launch, because that'd be a whole loss of money, because if they don't, they're not gonna charge the first person, the price for also the rocket, because the goal is it to be split up over multiple launches. But that would be kind of bad if they did it all.
Yeah.
Dustin,
So, yeah,
Dustin, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You just lost your webcam, but that's fine.
Yep.
Oh, there we go. You're back. You're back. The next thing we have is some moon stuff.
Oh yeah.
Moon stuff. Love me some moon stuff. It was from the same company, Maston Space Systems from out in Mojave. Got selected for Eclipse, a commercial lunar payload services contract to land. I believe it's 8 payloads on the up of the poles. I think is it the southern poles or the northern poles? Which one are they trying to get to?
Southern.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Southern. Yeah, they got selected for 8, and I mean, I've never heard of this company before they selected this. This is the company that's been doing stuff for a while.
Yeah.
They're not an old company, but they're not old space. They're definitely new space. But
they've been around for a hot
they've been
minute.
around for a while, testing a bunch of stuff, and yeah, they have a new design looking. At least for the render, it's a new design for landing. They're gonna land 9 science experiments. I didn't really read it through them all, but the one that did jump out was Moon Ranger. Obviously, that one's gonna get my attention. It's a mini rover. It's so cute. It's a mini rover.
So I'm on my phone. I have to lean in just to read.
Oh, yeah. It's you probably can't see anything, can you?
Just in case you wonder why my face is getting so much bigger, right?
Yeah, the Moon Ranger. It's gonna drive around, and it has a spectrometer system, neutron spectrometer system. Fancy words. For the check for hydrogen, which is it hydrogen or helium that has the isotope for nuclear fission? I think it's helium, right? Daryl, you're not gonna know that. I feel like off the look of your face, you probably don't know, but I believe it's helium. I believe it is. There's an isotope helium, which has been scientifically theoried that it will make nuclear fission possible. For some reason, I'm not a physicist. I have no idea. But I wonder if the spectrometer will test it, because it's been tested that the moon is the best resource for that isotope. So that the lunar dust is. So maybe the spectrometer might send us back that there might actually be a lot of isotopes of that helium or hydrogen isotope in there. So,
like the Springfield isotopes, the baseball team from The Simpsons.
No, I'm talking about
isotopes.
No.
Wow, that's an old episode too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But yeah, they got selected for that, which I'm looking forward to. They didn't say who they're launching on. I'm gonna skim through for a price. It was in the hundreds of millions of dollars, which, in terms of other contracts that NASA done, this is a pretty small contract. Yes, not even hundreds. Sorry, $75.9 million contract, and that includes the development and the price of the actual of the hardware, plus the launches as well. And that $75 million is in launches.
Man, that's an amazing moon contract.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cool for a moon contract. I mean, that's still a pretty low amount of money. So I think I'm just gonna go out there just on the price. I'm assuming they're gonna be launching on SpaceX.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
they got to pinch all that money they can.
They're small enough to do it. What they're launching itself is small enough.
They might
to
even
do it.
have to do a rideshare, because I think the
Yes.
price of even like a Falcon Heavy is they won't be able to do a Falcon Heavy. They'll have to do a Falcon 9. Falcon Heavy is too expensive.
I didn't read the article that you have on the screen, but I did watch the video. Scott Manley did a hello about it. So in his video, he talked about the fact that it would have to be ride shared probably.
Yeah, they'd have to ride share. They would be the primary contractor, but they'd ride share with other people.
Yeah.
Because they need
that phrase. Scott Manley did a hello about it.
Hello about it.
I'm using that phrase now.
No, I didn't. I kind of skimmed over this next hour. I didn't really look too much into it, but it is a cool. So Masson as well. Again, got another contract for their fast landing site technology, which is just pure sci-fi right now. They just have little pellets of metal that they get injected into the exhaust. They melt, and then they cool once they hit the ground. Which solves the problem that I've always been saying, that the reason why I don't think Starship will land for a very long time on the moon is because of the regolith. It's just gonna kick up and destroy pretty much anything that's in its path around it. Until you have a permanent landing zone, so where you don't have that problem. But this NASA knows about it, so they had that study with SpaceX about that, and now they have this. I'm not sure if it's a research contract or it's not. It's just I just got some money to continue testing, I believe, of it to test this injection.
So let's say this thing works and it spits out a landing pad on the fly right then and there. What do you do once the thing sets down? Do you launch it off on some kind of random trajectory again to get it out of there and leave that landing pad for someone else?
That's a good question.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe I believe, because I think these are all supposed to be reusable landers and stuff like that. Maybe not for their Masson's clips. I don't think this might be used on clips on their thing, but
I don't see that being reusable.
No,
Unless
I don't
you
see those
break
being
it apart and use it for parts on the surface.
yeah, I don't think those would be reusable. The Blue Origin lander, I believe, as well. Blue Origin got the contract, right, for the Artemis lander.
No,
Or
they haven't won it yet.
Oh, they haven't won it yet. Okay,
No.
they're in for the running for it though. Yeah. Okay. But for that lander,
The Blue Moon?
yeah, the Blue Moon, or just the Artemis lander, whoever gets selected for that.
Yeah, that's
that
coming
will
from
probably-
a company that hasn't even orbited yet. Sure.
Hey, you know what?
You know how I feel about them.
Boeing got North American got the contract for their Apollo, and they only built planes. So
Oh, speaking of Boeing, speaking of Boeing, wasn't there? I think it may have been this CLIPS contract or maybe something else. But wasn't there something where NASA said, "Yeah, you guys either have too much on your plate or y'all been screwing up too much lately or something like that," where they said, "Yeah, we're not letting y'all run for whatever contract this is." What was that?
All I read was their proposal for Clips was very unflattering.
Is that what it was for, CLIPS?
I believe it was for some lunar payload thing. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
not.
it was like
I
a
think
very
the price
professional
was
way
too
of saying.
much. Yeah, it wasn't good.
It was like a professional way of saying,
But
like, Boeing,
it
what is
was
this? What
it
is
was
this? You phones?
overpriced and it was underdeveloped.
Mm, yeah.
Ooh,
I mean, all you
they
gotta do is just pull out the. Well, didn't
totally phoned it in.
who made the? Was it Rockwell that made the LEM?
Uh,
Who made
Grumman.
the LEM? Grumman. That's right. Never mind. Okay.
Grumman made it.
I
North
was gonna
American
say-
made the CSM.
Yeah, they made that. That's right. I was wondering if if it was another company that Boeing bought up, but it's Northrop Grumman building a lander because I feel like that's right up their alley. They already built one, for Apollo. Why are they not building another one? I mean, it makes sense,
Ah.
right?
Times change.
But I feel like this would be more. This fast thing makes a lot more sense for the reusable Artemis lander that they choose, as well as for Starship. I feel like this would be very helpful for Starship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise they're never landing on the moon without a permanent structure to land on. Yeah, like those pictures of like lunar, like settlements that they have, and they're landing like right next to them. Like, yeah, that wouldn't happen. There's no way that's going to be feasibly possible. That would just destroy that settlement full of regolith. But
Yeah, but if you get landing pads, then you
yeah,
could definitely make it
or
viable.
at least a way to negate the landing pad on the like the fastest, just build up as it goes as you're landing, so it stops that. But yeah, once they get permanent landing pads, that's fine. Just without permanent landing pads, I feel like it's gonna be very, very, very hard. Yeah.
It's a good solution.
I hope it
Yeah.
worked. It's so sci-fi. It's so like just out there.
It is. It is so out
I read
there.
it and I'm like, that's genius. Like that is crazy genius. Yeah. But yeah, so we have more. So a little bit of news on Commercial Crew. One reason we got we were hopefully it would have been cool to have Dustin on last week when they announced the worm because he's a graphic designer. But we're gonna have him on this week.
You know what? This would be a great time to ask Dustin's opinion about this anyway, because I think we talked about it Saturday, Seth, you and I. Dustin, obviously know they brought the worm back. Everybody's cool with it.
The worm.
Me personally, I'm meatball first, worm
he's
second.
He's Scrooge about the worm.
No, I'm not. No,
yes,
I'm not. I stated I do not hate the worm, but if I had to rank them number one, number two, the meatball is just barely first place. That's
I think
how I
heard
about
Bah Humbug somewhere in his when we originally talked about it.
Well, then fine.
I think he put on some glasses and a scarf and put on his pajamas and yelled at the young kids about their new technology.
Bah humbug. Anyway, so this next render came out and
Render
Seth, is this official. This came from Bridenstine, right?
Yeah, this came from Jim.
Okay, so you've got the flag and the meatball right below the interstage. You got it again above the interstage.
On the second
the second stage. Dustin, as a graphic designer, are you in agreement with me that that's too much? To have the same thing twice so close together like that? Like the flag and ball, the same thing. You got them so close together.
Dustin, have you seen this picture? Have you seen the picture that we're talking about?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yes, I can see it on the screen right now. It's hard because the vantage point that we have, we see it so close together, but obviously it's printed on a very large vehicle, and you have two completely different stages. So when the first stage comes back and returns to the drone ship, and obviously that's going to be separate. Now, what I would do is I would have on the first stage, I would have the worm, and then I would have whatever SpaceX insignia you want to have on it. I know that probably on the reverse side you have the SpaceX logo.
Yeah, like
they
you normally see
typically have on the rocket. But you're right. I would definitely keep the meatball and the flag to the second stage, since the second stage is what's ultimately bringing that payload to orbit.
Right.
I do agree with you. It is very redundant, and
If anything, I'd say take it off the second stage, because once it lifts off, you're never going to see it again. You don't get camera
Right.
angles of it.
Right.
I think it's pointless on the second stage altogether. Now, what I would suggest is, okay, flip around. Instead of the meatball logo on the same side as the worm, put the X. Not the full SpaceX logo, just put the X.
Oh, just the X, and then on the
Just
other
the X.
side with the SpaceX logo,
Yeah.
put the meatball.
Well, that also has the Falcon above it too. So if you want to do away with the Falcon logo for this one,
Oh, maybe put
put
the
the
Falcon
meatball
logo
over
on
there.
the other side then, instead of the X. Put the Falcon logo.
yeah, put the X on the worm side, put the meatball on the SpaceX side, leave off the Falcon this one time.
Oh, put the Falcon on the worm side. I mean,
Here's the other thing.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this. I can't remember. The days just run together now. I don't remember if I mentioned
what
this.
day even is
once. It's day. All right.
Yeah,
It's day, or it's night now. I brought up the idea of, all right, once they go to reuse this booster, because for crewed missions they want a new booster every time for now.
Yeah.
When they go to reuse this one, what are they going to do with the extra logos? Are they going to take them off and make a nice big clean spot on the booster?
Ah,
Nice
I feel
big
like
clean spot where it used to be.
I feel like
It's
SpaceX wouldn't care. Like, I feel like NASA would be. I feel like NASA would have to step in and say something. But if it was up to SpaceX, they wouldn't care. They'll just
no,
throw it on
they
there.
wouldn't clean it because
Yeah,
they're
they-
not spending the money on cleaning it, which is
Yeah.
fine by all of us. It especially the photographers out there, we love the fact that it's not clean.
We love a sooty boosty.
Spicy booster.
yeah, the toasty booster.
The toast.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I like it when
Yeah.
I like my toast the way I like my rockets. Scorched.
Now, from a logical standpoint, a lot of times what you'll see is the company that is providing the payload, you have their logo or their insignia on the fairing.
Right.
Yeah.
But of
We don't
course,
have a
you don't
fairing.
have a stand fairing. Of course, you have the dragon, and I
really-
would imagine the
You really
NASA
don't
logo
have
is the
anything.
dragon.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
the meatball on the dragon.
Exactly.
Yeah, the
Yeah, but
meatballs on the
it's
dragon.
hard to see unless you get one of John Krause's.
We got a
Super
600
zoom
millimeter
lenses.
with two 2x extenders on it.
Exactly.
Actually, if you look at mine, I brought it up right now. This is one of the high-res stitches I put together. I mean, there's the Falcon logo and the flag. You just swap that out for a meatball right above that. So, yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that's possible as well. I mean,
Yeah. Where else did
I mean, I honestly, I don't mind. Like, I'm just happy that we have the worm. Like, I'm okay with having the meatball spread all over the place if we have the worm. Whatever. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Plus, if we have crewed missions back, I'm happy with that as well.
What's important
Yes.
would navy or black.
I would riot.
It would look a little bit different.
Did they
could
ever
you
have
pull
it
up,
in navy color?
No.
Could you pull up a picture of the space shuttle when it used to have the one? I think it'd be a
Daryl
good
wanted that.
comparison.
It was either in black or red on the space shuttle.
I believe it
wasn't
was always in red. I believe the worm's always been red. But this is also the worm's also always been horizontal as well. Because the design standards usually it does say always
Yeah.
have it horizontal. But then Jim can do what the hell he wants, and so he puts it vertical.
All right, here comes my screen again. On the image search, so y'all can find it with me now. You see all the different positionings of it, like on Enterprise. There it is on Discovery. You see it right here at the top right of my screen.
Yes.
That's actually gray.
Really?
That's interesting.
On Discovery? Oh, it is black.
Yeah, that's grayish.
Black gray.
Gizmodo.
That is
See-
gray.
I like them. Yeah.
See, the red worm looks significantly better, in my opinion, than that gray.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
But
Yeah.
I think it was either red or some neutral color like black or gray. It
Yeah,
was
I don't think
never
it's ever
blue
been
or
blue.
anything like
I
that.
don't remember ever seeing a blue.
I think maybe in a case like this, you'll do it in white too against a dark background. But other than
Well,
that,
that's also a third party, so they don't really care.
that's
Right.
true.
Yeah, they'll
That's
use
true.
pink if they want to.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's only ever been one of those. Wait a minute, this looks familiar. The patch. That could happen. I think that was only on uniforms though.
What, the worm patch?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's unofficial.
Was
The
it?
Yeah.
worm ball.
And honestly,
Yeah, that's unofficial.
having the worm on the meatball, I really don't like the way that looks.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it. It's also
Yeah.
I don't think NASA likes it either.
No.
NASA really does not like it when you mess with the meatball at all.
Well,
No, yeah. And
Y'all really wouldn't appreciate what I bought earlier today.
Oh, bring it out. Let's see.
All right. Give me 1 second to find it. I've been looking for items from this, I guess, salon and styling place here in New Orleans. They have had the shirt for a while, and they finally have it available online. Instead of NASA, it's NOLA, because, it's a New Orleans thing. So, of course I got it. But, yeah, that's coming to me. But that's the only exception I will make to a different meatball. Other than that,
Yeah.
no. But that's just for me.
NOLA.
But yeah, like I said, don't mind the worm, the meatball. And we were talking about this pre-show, I believe, Seth. Oh damn it!
Oh,
I closed it all the way.
seal.
So
The
seal
original logo that was the seal.
was, wait, I don't wait.
Which I'm not sure if this is. I'm not sure if that's still the official. Like, I feel like I believe that is still the official seal of NASA. Dustin, you know what I'm talking about? The classic meatball that they used to have
It's coming
back in the
what was
Apollo
that one?
and like before
trying to
Apollo.
remember.
There you go, Dustin.
It doesn't.
I got a
Let me see
picture
it.
of it yesterday. As a matter of fact,
Yes.
it is still flying out
Oh
from
yeah.
the
I've seen that
Mishu
before.
facility.
Is that their?
Yeah.
Is that's still their official seal? Correct? I believe that is.
So I
Uh,
believe that would be utilized in more.
Official?
I'm trying to think. Official, yes. Similar to how they veer their. I think that would be what they would.
yeah.
Yeah, I just looked up
Yeah.
symbols of NASA. It's coming from NASA.
I was storm chasing, which did
Okay.
not pan out. I passed by Mishu, and sure enough, there is Pathfinder still sitting out there. Thing is big.
Yes.
This picture
Thing
does
is
not do
massive.
it justice.
I hope that thing makes it into a museum one day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then of course our miniature vertical assembly building, not vehicle assembly, vertical assembly. Not as big as the VAB in Florida, but still definitely a big building. You
Wait,
can
what
see
is
it clear.
it called?
The vertical assembly building, because there's if you ever see
Oh, yeah.
videos of how SLS is built, it's like they stack concentric rings, kind of like a professional version of how they're building Starship. I
Professional
guess
build.
they do circular sections.
the adult way of building Starship.
Yes.
Put it in
They,
the clean room.
They do ring sections, and then they just vertically stack them, friction stir weld them. They can just keep building up and up vertically, and then they of course lay it down, wheel it wherever it has to go. So that's our big building that we have.
Yeah.
And then I get a picture of it, but further off to the left in this picture is another high bay building. I forget the actual term of it, but I believe that's where some, if not all, of Omega is being built.
Omega.
I knew you were going to. I was like,
I did find
pretty
I did find a NASA site that talks about the three logos: the meatball, the seal, and the worm. It's
share class.
oh yeah, I'll share with the class.
Share with the class.
So yeah, so it says the NASA meatball is their insignia. So that's what you see almost all the time. The worm was their temporary logo when the meatball was too difficult to make, and then the NASA seal is used for formal agency events.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
you go.
Though I do see I don't see the
100%.
seal used on those press like those anything hard copy, like any like hard copy releases like that from the agency. I've always seen the meatball. I feel like the seal is only used on like the flag and like probably like off on stuff on the office. But
You know
because
what?
you see
So
yeah.
so when you're developing a brand, you're developing a means for communication, and I feel like the meatball is specifically used for NASA's interface with the public
Mhm.
as a publicly funded through the American taxpayers organization. It's very important that they have that public image. However, NASA also works very closely with the United States government and Congress and senators and
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So I feel like that's where the official seal would be best utilized in paperwork and documentation being sent to senators and Congress.
Yeah, and also like probably like in their offices
Kind of has that vibe.
and like
Exactly.
their flags, like official things. Yeah, which is what it says.
So-
It's for official events or formal.
So if you went on a tour of Houston and their office space and their facilities, I'm sure you'd see that everywhere.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure you'll see both the meatball and the seal.
Oh, for sure.
For sure, easily, because
Yep.
everyone loves the meatball, though more people love the worm.
So, question: what do you guys think about the worm being used by other applications?
Okay,
It's
here's
recognizable now as NASA. That's
Yeah,
it. Just
if-
those 3 letters at this point.
if if SpaceX redid their logo down the side of the rocket in the worm text just for DM1, I would be okay with it.
Yeah.
Like, and if Viola and Boeing did the same thing just for their first crewed launch, I would be okay with it.
Yeah.
But anything outside of that, I'm like, no. Though I am guilty
So-
of like finding that font and typing things out and using it and things, just because I think it's cool. It's a cool font, but
Yeah, it's certainly a cool font, but at the end of the day,
it's the
if
worm.
I'm not mistaken, the worm was not designed as a font. It was designed as an N, an A, an S, and then an A.
Yeah.
And
That's
so,
why if you look at those fonts, if it's not those 3 letters, it looks weird.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it does not look good. Though,
Exactly.
let's
That's
see.
the thing.
Trying to think. SP. So the P would be fine because the P goes with that font. A, C would be weird. The only SpaceX would be fine. I feel like it's all the other letters in the
Right.
government that look weird. SpaceX could probably pull it off. Other than the X does look a little weird. But
Yeah, have space with the font, and then you have the X as the standard SpaceX logo, right?
yeah. Oh yeah, you just cross the two. Yeah.
One am now the graphic standards manual. What am I buying on this episode?
What am I? I love that I love the section of this episode. We just go to Daryl's Amazon page and we see what he's buying.
I'm kind of
Are
torn.
you sharing your screen? Nope, you're not.
Yes. I'm not sure which one to go for. I'm not going for the Kindle version. I want, an actual book.
I'm not actually going to show your Amazon site. I'm not actually going to do that.
No,
But,
it's not that bad.
That's on my list still. The graphic standards is still
Yeah,
on my
go
Christmas
ahead
list and birthday list for my parents. My
I
family to
wish
give me.
somebody would reprint it in a ring binder like it used to be, not
Oh,
a book like it is now.
I don't mind either one. I
Eh.
never saw. I wish someone
bit
would
of
print the
authenticity would be cool.
I wish someone would print the Apollo manual or the shuttle manual as well in the ring and make it look like it's how it does.
I have thought about doing that as like a Kickstarter thing.
That would be cool. Like, that would
Once
be
I
so cool.
once I can find the originals, which I should look into it a little harder. Once I could find the originals to actually get it from, I think I would actually get started on that project.
That'd be fun.
Have you ever seen Adam Savage try to create or recreate a spacesuit.
Dude, yeah, his Apollo
Oh, yeah.
spacesuit is crazy.
He had an episode, he had an episode of Tested where he worked on an Aces suit and he replicated some of the checklists on the suit because the astronauts put it on their arm
Mm-hmm.
for ease of access, and that was pretty cool.
There's
Yeah.
there's a Florida Today journalist. I can't remember what his name is. That is that him? He has like the like original Apollo 11 newspaper, the shuttle manual, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a couple things, and it's just his wife just keeps on buying. I'm like, I wish your wife was mine. Like, I wish, like, I said, like, you are the luckiest man in the world that your wife finds that stuff and buys it for you. 'Cause I can't even find that stuff. I don't know where she finds that stuff, and like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so jealous. It's like
I have some money though.
What?
yeah. I'm sure
the
that
guy
stuff is not
has some-
cheap. I'm sure that stuff is not cheap.
Yeah.
But like the shuttle and the Apollo, like, you know, users manual that they had in
For the right price, you can get almost anything, you know.
Oh yeah. But those like user manuals, like, that's like the nerds version of having like a Bible sitting on your coffee table. Like, instead of like going over there's like a nice fancy Bible on the coffee table, you have a like just the user's manual for the Apollo spacecraft, the space shuttle. But little transition then there for the space shuttle. SpaceX tested their. Let me go back to my screen. Let me share this with you guys.
Are we talking about their water tower collapse?
No.
Oh, okay.
What? No. So yeah, SpaceX did a test of their egress system.
Yeah.
Which is the exact same. It's the same egress system that they use for shuttle. They just raised it up to the top of the fixed service structure.
Mm-hmm.
And they also added it. If you look at pictures of the fixed service structure, that floor that they're walking on right now is not there. They had to add that floor.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is like, it's like a half floor or a half story. I don't know. But whee! Look at them go. The only difference, I believe, between the shuttle and SpaceX is I believe the shuttle had a bunker that they went into.
Yes.
Which is not the same bunker that they used for Apollo. It's a different bunker, not the rubber room. Do you know?
You sure?
Do you know? Yeah, I'm sure it's not the same because the rubber room is actually nowhere. It's much closer to the pad. The rubber room is like I believe it's only like a couple meters away from the pad. It's like right below the tower, pretty much. Yeah. But
now the question is, what event would happen in such a way that it would be dire enough for you to need to get out, but slow enough for you to be able to go through
that process?
the entire process?
Well,
I believe it's a hydrogen leak. So
no,
it's a leak of the fuel. I believe that's the main issue. It's a leak. It's a fuel leak.
it very that in the case of
Or a small
this
fire.
particular launch vehicle, you know, I don't know. It's tough to see what they would egress for, but I know there was instances where it almost happened. Sometime in the 80s, I believe it was before Challenger, they had an RSLS abort, and on the intercom between all the different astronauts on board, they were actually debating bailing out or not. But then they realized, well, wait, there might be a hydrogen fire and we can't see the flame. So we try to run out and we'll run right through it. So in that case, you know, there was no hydrogen fire or anything like that.
There was also the issue of they've actually never like for the shuttle, they never actually tested the egress system. Before there was a certain point in the shuttle program where they did test it, but they never. There was a situation where it was either use egress system or sit put and let them safe the area, and they decided it was most likely possibly safer to just not use the egress system because they never tested the egress system, so they weren't sure if it was even going to work.
Boy, that's a glaring oversight too. Like, how do you
Especially
not?
by NASA, of all places. NASA wouldn't do that, but which is why they now do their test. They now test beforehand like this, which is this is not the first test they've done. They've done an uncrewed test.
Yeah.
It was like a year ago. But now they actually did a full scale where they also I believe this issue is like the main issue is because the Dragon uses hypergolic fuels.
Yes.
If those fuels, if there's a leak. So that's why they'll go through that decontamination section with the water. Because hypergolic, all you gotta do is spray it with water and it neutralizes it.
Huh. I'll be darned.
Which is why Dragon is so safe to just plunk out of the water. It's because it doesn't matter if there's hydrogen leak or not because it's in the water. It's already neutralized. You're fine. Yeah.
Do you guys remember when back in the days of the Ares program and the Constellation program, where they were actually looking at putting a roller coaster on the side of the
Disney
the fixed
Disney
infrastructure?
collaboration.
Yeah.
The collaboration we all wanted but never happened.
Russia did that. The Russians did that for their Bahrain.
Did they really? Well, they didn't collaborate with Disney though.
No.
Yeah, NASA I think had like 2 Imagineers build it.
Huh.
And they had the render. That thing goes straight down.
Russia collaborated with the Drunken Rat. That's what it was.
Yeah, they and that egress system
I built
with
the roller coaster, comrades.
the coaster egress
telling
system.
If you put that at the Kennedy Space Center, I promise that their attendance will go up.
Oh yeah, if you made that a public ride, hell yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would.
Hell
totally
yeah.
do that.
Could you imagine? Just a 380-foot tall drop.
Straight down
that.
drop. Yeah,
Yep.
if this picture of it, where and there's also a that straight up part is not attached to the mobile launch tower. It was a freestanding structure.
Yes.
Which so when the mobile pad wasn't there, you just see this massive, just straight up pole. to nowhere. It's a roller coaster to nowhere.
Yes.
Yeah. But with the rubber room that Apollo used, that was like a straight down chute that they went down into like a little like rubber room, shut a blast door, and they had these like rubber chairs that they sat on. That's why it's called the rubber room. But there was actually a BBC video. You remember? I can't remember what his name is, but he was like the Walter Cronkite for the BBC.
Yeah.
And even in the past Apollo, into the shuttle era, he was still doing things. He did that one take where he had a whole monologue, and he goes, and when you mix those 2 things together, you get this, and a Titan just launched off right at the perfect
and he
view.
points back to it. I
Dude.
saw that.
Boss. I know how many probably
Yes.
rockets, like launches he went to and tried that and failed. I want to think that was his first take, but I know that's probably not his first take.
You probably rehearsed the hell out of it.
Well, the thing is, you gotta rehearse the hell of it, but also you gotta get lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you do that whole take and all of a sudden it gets delayed a minute. There's not enough time to redo your take.
It depends on how long it is. If you do like a 20-second run up.
Yeah, I think it was actually just like a 15, 20-second thing.
Yeah,
So you probably
like-
could have just kept doing it. But you missed
Nobody
Nobody
restarts their countdown at 5.
You're 1 second late starting your thing. You're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so SpaceX, they get into an armored truck and they drive off to the sunset. That's like my favorite part is where they get in and all of a sudden there's just the video. They run in and all of a sudden they drive off to the sunset in their truck.
Yep, they just yeet away in their armored vehicle.
Their white armored truck, by the way.
Amazing.
Their
Yeah.
white armored truck, because hell no, they're not going to be using desert tech tan or a black. It's going to be white to match those Model X's.
Amazing.
I'm surprised
So-
they didn't use a armored Model X instead.
So Seth,
Yeah.
so since you brought me on Ruds, you want me to tell this story about street shot that you made that had the little interruption in it?
The what?
The story of your street shot for Solar Orbiter
Oh.
that had the little interruption in it.
I like this story. Let's hear it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if anybody's ever
let me
done
bring up the shot as well on Twitter. Yeah, go ahead. I'll find it. You just keep talking.
anyone's have remote the hook and then a remote shot a red frequency and I were using the same device and our frequencies were set to the same frequency, the same channel. And so when I started mine, it started both of ours, and then he started his a little bit late, and that's why you have that delay. And then I looked over at my screen, and I noticed it wasn't working, and so I turned it back on, and that's what continued the streak.
All I wanted to say, you know how perfect that picture looks? Looked great.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I still don't believe I started mine too late. I feel like there was another issue there, but I don't remember starting mine that late. But yeah, it was such.
Or maybe you started yours first,
And then
when
you
I started mine,
I don't know what it was. It was something.
and then when
weird.
I started mine, it turned yours off or turned yours on. I don't know. It did something.
Did something weird.
So if you want to pull up the one that I had done, I believe it.
I don't know where yours.
Twitter. If you go on my Twitter, it's by my cover photo. I didn't have the balls to put up.
Is this with yours? No, that's not it.
That was it up top.
Oh, was that it up top?
That was.
Oh, okay.
So I just cropped it out.
Not a bad.
See, I did. I have an older picture somewhere where I put the Luna from Bear in the Big Blue House.
Yes. Yeah, that was cool.
Because I was like, I wonder where the moon is in my shot. You know, you can clearly see there's a full moon in the top right shot. But I put Luna in there. I'm like, oh, that's what blocked my shot out. Luna got in the way. Daryl, do you even watch Bear in the Big Blue House? Are you too old for that?
I'm too old for a lot of stuff these days.
Oh, I mean, that was like my childhood, so you were probably a little old. I mean, no, I was on the tail end of Bear in the Big Blue House, so maybe when you were younger, you probably watched that too. But
no, I didn't.
Okay, you did not. All right.
I know of it.
That was my favorite show when I was growing up. Favorite show. I love singing with the bear.
What?
Yeah, but yeah, I just posted it. I think my launch lagged. So, yeah, I just gotta go with it. You know, it's whatever. Yeah, I'm a gamer and that. So yeah, another new thing about new rockets. Launcher One from Virgin Orbit, not to be mistaken with Virgin Galactic. Because they're a tourism company. Virgin Orbit is their launch provider company. I don't understand. I don't know why they didn't just make one company, but I'm sure it was a brand thing. It's Richard Branson for all you know. He likes his different companies. But yeah, they did a full-on test with their.
I saw that.
With their Launcher One, with the cryofuel all set up, which I believe is there a tweet somewhere with the actual path? Oh no, they did not add it. Man, I'll message Chris saying he's got to up his game with his articles. There was a tweet where it actually had the path, and it was over the Pacific Ocean.
Yep.
And which it wasn't until now it dawned on me like, oh, they can only do polar launches from there.
Yep.
They can't do because it doesn't matter where they launch over in that area. You can't launch that thing over land. Even if you do in the desert, it's still going to be the upper stage is still going to be flying over populated areas. So my guess, I think we talked about this like 2 months ago. I don't know, like months ago of the Space Coast Regional Airport. Is it Titusville? I think it is. I don't know.
Yeah, it's Titusville.
Yeah, they're trying to build up their airport to be also a spaceport as well. Possibly, Virgin might move there to do their non-polar launches.
If there's
Awesome.
even customers for it, because nobody's really interested in these super small launch vehicles
Well,
now.
the thing about this is what's the dimensions on this Launcher One dimensions? Because this is much larger. This is not like Pegasus. It's much larger than Pegasus. Let's see what the diameter is.
And this will all be edited out later.
Nah, why? No, I don't edit this stuff out. Come on now. It just says diameter. It doesn't say what. Wikipedia, you failed me for the last time.
It's Wikipedia, so.
Hey, I somewhat trust Wikipedia.
Yeah, Wikipedia.
I trust Wikipedia a little bit, at least just for dimensions.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to mess up dimensions for a rocket when they're so prevalent and how many people edit this thing. I mean, Wikipedia breaks celebrities' deaths.
See, that's what happens when you see the notification to donate to Wikipedia and you don't donate to Wikipedia. Wikipedia would then fail you.
I donated this year.
You donated.
I did donate. I gave him some money.
You still got failed.
Yeah, I did. But
oh man.
This, I mean, just if you look at the picture of it, this is, I mean, there's a reason why it flies on a 747.
Oh
not
yeah.
not a small aircraft. It's a much larger. I believe this is capable. I believe the Electron might be a little bit larger, but not by much. I believe the payload is very similar to your Electron. This would be actually an Electron competition.
Now,
for dead. Plus, also,
is there a similar vehicle under the other wing?
No, it's on just one side.
I would be very interested in how they do the weight and balance for that aircraft.
It's not that. You just
very carefully.
Yeah, it's not that. Even with that, I'm sure there's some hardware that they put in there to offset the weight of it. But it's all you gotta do is offset the weight, and then you're fine.
But even when that rocket drops down, you're having a massive decrease.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, 100%.
Did they show video of the release of the payload?
They didn't release the
what
payload.
The aircraft does.
They didn't release the payload.
They didn't. Okay.
But they did do a dry test a few months back where they released it, and no, it stays pretty steady. When you get the planes that large, like 747s, they're very stable no matter what. They're very, very stable.
Yeah.
It's just they're so large and so heavy that a little bit of an offset and weight isn't that big of a deal. Plus, those pilots, even if there was, those pilots are so highly trained that they know it's gonna be coming, so they're gonna step on the pedal. I don't think it's pedal. They're gonna turn the yoke to the side. Well, no, they have pedals, but the pedal doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of my ground course training for a private pilot, so
because you have pedals which operate the rudder, which is your yaw, and then the yoke operates the
pitch and roll.
The pitch and the roll.
Yeah, so it would roll into the right, and it would just turn it back.
So you would probably want to go on the pedal a little bit and then roll. Of course, as mentioned at the beginning, I did aerospace engineering college, so man,
I work for an aerospace company, so
I'm an aircraft nerd
with pilot stuff. Daryl, you're the least qualified here.
Oh yeah.
Actually, a friend of mine who works for Boeing and is working on building the SLS shared something just a few minutes ago. A thing she did in her spare time since she's not working right now. One of those edX courses in intraspace structures. Might take. It's free.
Dude, there's a lot of Ivy League colleges out there posting free courses. There's some computer science courses out there.
I will take it.
Yeah. I'm planning on actually going back to college, possibly in the next year.
You know, what's the coolest free course you could take? I believe it's on YouTube. It's MIT's open courseware, Introduction to Systems Engineering, and it's Engineering.
Oops, my bad.
Says
Ooh.
the entire course on this, they go through thermal, they go through the tank and the shuttle, the solid rocket boosters, through the Columbia disaster, the Challenger disaster. It is so.
What was the name of the course?
It's amazing.
It was the
It's
MIT.
Open Courseware. I believe it's like 16 M16 or. Just go look up MIT Open Courseware Spatial on YouTube. You should find it.
I love the colleges when they put their courses. Stanford posted their entire iOS development course class on YouTube for free.
Oh, aircraft systems engineering.
Yes.
There's like a playlist on Stanford's website where it's literally just Stanford's YouTube channel where it's just like it's like 18, I think, a couple like hour 2 hour long videos of like just literally just their lectures.
Oh, I found it. I found it. MIT course number 16.885J, aircraft systems engineering. Course heights. Administrated by shuttle astronaut MIT professor Jeff Hoffman, Professor Aaron Cohen, who is the Space Shuttle Orbiter Project Manager. Description. View aircraft system engineering
you good?
cost weight. I'm great.
Okay, cool.
I am great. I'm great. Yes, I'm good. I've got things to learn and I won't be bored.
So for those of you that are listening, if you're on quarantine and you need to find something to do, watch that. Again, I think it's MIT Open Course 16.885. I think that's what it is.
16.885J.
Hey, yeah, if you throw that in the YouTube search bar, it should still be up there, and it is amazing.
And again, the course is aircraft systems engineering.
Yeah.
If you'll look for it on MIT Open Courseware's website, if it has a picture of the shuttle hitting max Q, that's it. Or
Yep.
I'm sorry, passing the sound barrier.
Can you check if there's links to the videos on that page?
Yeah. There's a tab for video lectures, just lectures 1 through 22.
Pick the something.
Yes.
It's all done.
In between astrophotography, storm chasing, and playing the stock market, I actually have a lot to do now. I might throw in
just
learning
living
French
life
too.
to the fullest over there, aren't you, Nola?
Yeah,
living
I
life.
can't go anywhere. I can't get into the state of Florida still for launches. So
I hope that stays forever.
I hate you.
You have to move here if you want to come here.
So
tempt me, I will.
I'm sure you guys have already talked about it, but there's been discussion that DM2 is going to happen before the potentially before the
virus
quarantine stuff is over with.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Right now it's May.
We've debated it. Now, I did hear it mentioned from an official source. I think earlier today it was quoted as saying late May, early June. So they're being flexible on the date right now.
So yeah, hopefully I think the quarantine stuff is going to die down during summer because I think people have said the virus will not survive summer, but then come back in fall. I don't buy it because it's still pretty prevalent down here, and it's hot as hell down here right now. So
it's not one of those heat is gonna make it go away like a seasonal thing. It's just you gotta keep up these measures to make it die out.
Yeah. So
that's what you gotta do.
I'm pretty adamant this thing is going to launch, but there's going to be some unprecedented things happen because of it. Either it's states complete like I wouldn't be surprised if Florida literally locks down their entire state to keep people within their counties and out of the state, or NASA just launches it without telling us. I wouldn't be surprised either. I mean, I think the launch it without telling us is a pretty big leap. I think the whole lockdown the state is way more reasonable.
It's
Even
it's
then,
a really
Could you imagine?
I imagine they would have to call up the
I would
National Guard, get in National Guard from other states to come help. That's a really big task. But
this is
Man,
I
yeah,
think
if
that's
that
too
happens-
big of a
if that
PR
happens,
thing.
I'm probably gonna get arrested, man.
It's-
If I find out that thing's going up, I'm gonna have to cave somehow.
I'm telling you, it's like discussed before, Seth. I really think this is such a high profile, high PR mission that to launch it in secret as if it was a classified payload or something like that is a bad move, and they will get a lot of bad
I just
press.
think it's a
even
worse-
folks
Yeah.
like me will say
I
that.
think it's a worse move though to go through with it like any other launch and then have a million people show up.
The only smart move is to just push it back. Everything's in place. Now it's just a
The
timing
issue
thing, and it's
is-
safe for the public to come out and see
The
it.
issue is Russia is no longer launching 4 launches a year.
I'm not
this was-
saying you got to
Yeah.
delay it another year.
Now the question is, can you have a launch where a lot of people come to and
Yeah.
still maintain social distancing?
mean,
that's the
in
question.
some areas you can't. In some areas it's too cramped. Like 528 is going to be too packed with social distancing. Even
Yeah.
parts of the Jetty Park is going to be too cramped. Jetty Park is closed. I mean, even the Jetty Park
Yeah.
would be
Yeah.
closed. The beaches are closed, but I believe the county beaches are still open, and so that's going to be packed. Like that's probably where everyone's going to go, and you can't do. I mean, the beaches are large, but if you have hundreds of thousands of people coming, it's going to fill
And
up
it's
real
like
quick.
KFC is such a big area, but for security reasons, you're not going to let the general public spread out over it
No, you can't.
to watch it.
Right.
You can't.
You definitely can't do that, so that's out the question. Obviously, the visitor centers, the Saturn V Center, are out of the question.
Yeah, because
you can have it
KSC
too
visitor
close.
centers are closed.
And
You
it's
can
closed,
only-
yeah.
Yeah, you can only think of publicly open areas.
And I don't trust Delaware North to do a good enough cleaning job anyway on those buses to. No thanks.
No, I
Yep.
just think it's a worse. I think it would just be better for public health if they not launch in a secret. I think the best option would be shutting down the state, calling in the National Guard for the Florida National Guard, getting the National Guard from Georgia, and
You can't bring them in. You
Yeah,
can't
you
bring them
can.
across state lines.
Can you not? Can you not? Oh,
No,
okay.
that-
Well,
that's-
here's what
That's
they
why
can do.
there's a Florida Guard, a Georgia Guard,
But here's what you
Louisiana
can do.
Guard. They're only for
President-
their own state.
The president can nationalize them, and then they can't.
Yeah,
Or you just send in the
But
you just send in the military itself.
he's not doing that for a space launch. He's not doing.
I don't
that
think
for
he
a space
would,
launch.
but I mean, it's an option.
He's
If
not
the
going to
if
do
the if the if the administrator wants it, I feel like he would.
it. No.
I feel like
Is there any?
like I said, we're gonna see something unprecedented happen. for
With
this
with
launch.
everything going on, spaceflight takes a backseat to national matters. I
Yeah.
hate to put it so bluntly like that. I think this date just slips another month or so.
maybe another month or so, but
Yeah, they can afford to do that.
If we're predicting this happen for how long, even when the quarantines are lifted, having that large of a mass gathering is still not safe. Even
No.
when we're no longer doing the stay-at-home orders, having that large of a gathering is a public health risk
I
at
think
this
the
point.
public is still going to be wary about getting close to other people, so they'll find ways to stay apart from other people. They'll still be carrying around hand sanitizer, things like that. I think 6-foot distancing and things like that will still be on people's minds, so they'll stay apart. But yeah, it'll get pretty crowded. I mean, I think this will cut into the viewership that comes out there, so
I mean, I'll
it'll
be
be
there.
easier to practice that.
Hands down, I'll still be there.
Yeah,
The only way that's stopping me is if they shut down the borders between counties.
they're not going to go that far. That's
I-
almost impossible to do.
It would be really hard to do, but I feel like it's also
Also,
the main
apparently-
shutting down 95. They can just shut down 95 easily. They do it
Yeah.
all the time when
but
there's
they're not
when
going
there's a
to
large
for
accident or
truckers.
what? Yeah.
They're not going to for shipping service.
Well, yeah. You just
The other thing I see, and I haven't read too deep into it, but I see a lot of headlines. Apparently, your governor's an idiot.
oh my god. Oh yeah. Yeah. He is.
Apparently, your governor is an idiot
He's an idiot.
when it comes to this. So, I see the state slipping a month, maybe two, But the fact that we don't have to rely on Russia anymore, that fact is still there. And the next crewed mission happening later this year can still happen. It can definitely still happen when it's supposed to happen. And you got Bob and Doug going up there. They're training for an extended stay.
Yeah.
They're not going for the 2-day mission that they
originally. The thing is, though,
committed.
because of the extended stay, you cannot certify USCV-1, which is the first operational mission, until they come back. So you push it,
and that's fine.
You push it out a month. Pushing it out a month here seems fine, but when you realize they're staying for, how many weeks are they staying up there for?
I think it's only like 6 or 7.
Yeah, well, it's 2 months. This was supposed to be USCV-1. I think is slated for fall. You push it out a month. You're technically not pushing out a month. You're pushing out you're not going to see this end for like the certification finished for another 3 months.
I just
Right.
I don't think I think we're just going to see this back because of everything going on. I don't think they're going to do it in secret. That's a really bad PR move, especially these days. Not like in Apollo, which I'm listening to the live stream of Apollo 13 right now. Back in those days, leading up to Apollo 11, everybody was like, "Oh, the space program, all the money they won, everybody loves it." Now it's like people could care less, so they need all the good PR they can get.
Right.
And this is a good PR mission. A very good PR mission. You don't want to mess this up. If you got to delay it a bit, so be it. You delay it in secret, if people aren't, that's going to be a bad move.
Now,
a really bad move.
I think you're right, and this would arguably be the most historic launch of the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes.
Putting
Easily.
humans in the words of Jim Bridenstine.
American astronauts on American rockets from American soil. I'm trying to be that
Exactly.
bird.
It's
You
a
gotta go
catchphrase.
back like that with the red eyes that come out.
Yeah, the goose meme. Jim Bridenstine, he needs that on a shirt.
They gotta plaster that thing everywhere. Everywhere. I want shirts. I want patches. If the first operational patch doesn't pay homage to that, I'll be upset.
Jim needs it on a shirt for sure.
Mm-hmm. If I was on the crew of the first operational mission and we were designing our patch, I'm like, this line needs to be on it somewhere. Like just because it has to.
Yeah, man, it gives me some ideas.
Yeah. So after that rant, that was
Yes.
not planned. We do have one more item to go over on the docket.
Unscheduled?
Yeah, that's why we are rapidly unscheduled.
That's good.
So such a great mission or video that Rocket Lab put out for their weeks ago. We did a little test. This is actually an older it's actually that test happened a while ago, but they just posted this video of their recovery of a test dummy, a test article for their Electron.
Mm-hmm.
This is honestly, I think Electron is just so great. Their videos big.
Oh yeah.
They do such great videos, and
Wait to make it up to Virginia for that one.
they caught it from a helicopter.
Uh-huh.
Mind blown.
It's amazing.
I think this video, the thing that makes this video so good is the audio, which you guys aren't hearing, but the video is.
I've seen it. We've all seen
It's
it by
just so good. I can't wait. I mean,
Anybody hasn't seen it by now, what's wrong with them?
that is true. If you haven't seen it,
Yeah.
you do have problems. Oh yeah.
Wait for that. I like this shit.
I don't know. It just blows my mind that they can do this. I mean, it just blows anyone else's mind.
It just looks like a regular skydiver. It really is. It looks like a skydiver parachute.
It's only like a 14-foot skydive.
Yeah.
He's like 3 times the height of an athlete. But I
It's
think
kind
the
of like
craziest part is that the pilot is not even he's not looking out or around, he's looking straight down as he's flying.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he knows that there's no other plane around him. So that's like the big rule of flying, to go always aware of your airspace. He's not good at flying. I'm sure he had somebody with him. No, it was just him and the pilot. The helicopter. He had no
Well,
co-pilot.
that's-
What?
That's
Yeah, he
No-
dumb.
had
no co-pilot?
Yeah, hold on, let's go back. Let's see where it is.
He had to. There it was.
Has to be a co-pilot.
Hold up. Look, no co-pilot in that.
What?
No co-pilot.
Whoa.
He's just look.
It's just him
No!
looking
What the
straight
heck?
down.
Wow.
That's like
Man.
the most baller thing ever.
Man,
Yeah.
shout out to that guy. That guy,
Yes.
he is
Definitely
That's a-
shout out to that
it's a
guy.
son of a gun right there. I tell you.
That's just a
Man.
badass pilot.
Oh man, he needs a Medal of Honor or something. That's
Yeah, he
that's that's airmanship to the nth degree.
Yes, it
And,
is.
and also, and this is, I think this came out today. Tim Dodd did, Everyday Astronaut did posted a video with his interview with Peter Brack, a new interview with Peter Brack.
Another one, yeah.
Another one, yeah. And at the end of the video, they just kind of like plonk it down. They don't give a crap. They just plonk it right down. There's gonna be a little jig that flies into it and captures it. He asked Peter Brack, like, you gonna have like a robot? And he's like, that's not far off. It's the little jig that just like you just fly it into and it just kind of like captures it, lays it down.
I
Yeah.
have not watched that yet.
Yeah, it's a good interview. It kind of talks more into like the reasons why they're doing it and how it's gonna work and stuff like that. Like he talks about the fact of like it's the reason why they're recovering. Not necessarily it's because it makes the rocket cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it does. They don't have to build the infrastructure to build more rockets
Right.
now. So yeah, it's not like SpaceX does it because it makes it cheaper to reuse the rocket. They're still gonna they don't know yet because they haven't actually done it yet, but they're probably gonna have to refurbish the rocket pretty heavily. But
yeah.
that is much easier than building out the infrastructure to build it.
I mean, as soon as they grab the first one, they're gonna tear it apart and say, "All right, this is what needs to be fixed. This can fly again." And then they'll try it out. I mean, it's a trial and error process.
Yeah, let's light this candle.
Yeah. It's like this.
Yeah.
Game.
I just think it's so cool that I think a little more than a year ago, Peter Beck completely dismissed the idea of reuse, and now they're on the cutting edge of reuse.
Has
There
he,
is
has
a
he
amazing.
eaten his hat yet? Isn't that what he said? He'd
There
eat
is a
his hat.
good-
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my hat, and I'm going to eat it.
I guess we
that was
should
a great way
wait
to
till they
start.
actually refly it.
Yeah, we just need Peter Beck to get a hat with a bite out of it, and nail it to the back of his wall in his office.
He did
Oh
say,
no,
it's
we
funny,
need, we need video of him actually doing it.
Yeah, he said
Yeah.
in his interview with Tim, where he's like, I try to now stay away from saying what's impossible and what's not, because I end up eating my hat. So,
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So yeah. What else we got, Seth?
That was it. That was the last thing on the docket.
That's it.
That's it.
All right. So I guess we should wrap things up. I don't know. You wanna touch on how Yuri's night went at all?
So, I love Yuri's Night. Great event. This was their first time doing what they did.
Mm-hmm.
They could have made it shorter.
Yes.
It was getting to the 3-hour mark, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a full length of an actual Yuri's Night.
I've got different feelings about it, to be honest.
Because I went to the last year's Yuri's Night, and it's a pretty long event. You're there for a couple hours.
Yeah, but you're
because-
sitting there hanging out, drinking with people.
Because you're sitting there
you know.
hanging out, drinking, partying. It's
Yeah.
a party. This
It's a party.
was not a party. This was it was just all the speakers from all the nights, which I liked because this gave us the opportunity. Like, if we didn't have this issue, we would have never heard Bill Nye speak.
Right.
We never heard all the other astronauts speak. We would have just had Story Musgrave at Space Coast.
Now, I've never been to a Yuri's Night. This was supposed to be my first one. I skipped last year only because I had to, budget vacation days from work and whatnot. And there was no launch nearby to coincide with it, so I said, screw it. Um, so this was going to be my first, and we all know how it turned out, obviously. And the way they did it, I understand the way they did it the way they had to because they had to, but I was bored.
There were some boring parts, but that's
all right. So my love of space flight is not so much the ideological stuff that everybody talks about and things like that, which I get it. I really do have an appreciation for it. But me, I'm a nuts and bolts type. I love the launch vehicles.
And Yuri's Night is definitely not that. It's a party. It's a party for everyone.
And we speculated, us and the guys from, the folks, because Becca's there too, so I'll give everybody their fair share. The people from Pressing for Flight, great group of folks. We sat there and speculated that, when they went on those tangents, we started digging pretty hard later into the show when somehow they started on this vegan rant, and pollution, and somehow eating a steak causes pollution, and I instantly checked to see if back was still open and delivering because I got hungry. And
you're talking about it doesn't work on me either. When someone talks about
exactly.
the meat production is polluted, and I'm like, man, now I want steak. Like you're not helping your cause.
and it's like I feel like things like that got kind of far away from space flight.
There was
whatnot.
A lot about coronavirus. There was a lot about pollution, which
of course you can't have something like this without mentioning
which
that.
kind of so Bill Nye, like that's kind of his thing. Like he's now become an environmental activist rather than a science educator. He still educates people on it, but it is all about the environment now. Right. I saw that all coming when I saw him on there, and then they start. That's kind of what everything's going to be turning to.
Well, what we all said, I forget who said it. But they brought up a good point. Is that, the different Yuri's Nights that go on around the country probably have different things. So, out at the one in LA where it's way more progressive out in California and whatnot, you probably have those kinds of things that go on.
The culture out there is
all
different.
about the launches.
Yeah,
all about the launch.
Florida
you're
is very
there under a damn space shuttle, having drinks and whatnot. Of course, you're going to sit there and talk about rocketry and the nuts and bolts kind of stuff.
Because here's the thing about Yuri's Night. This is the reason why everyone should especially Space Coast Yuri's Night. You have ULA employees, you have SpaceX employees. You're gonna now start having Blue Origin employees. Not Rocket, sorry, but you have Boeing and Lockheed Martin and NASA employees. It's very space launch heavy there, just the people who are there, and so it's more tailored towards the rocket launch. Out in California, it's more people like space, and they're into more space stuff. So that's why it's just more the general,
more
the generally of science and space, and
more of the deep space, the observation, the science-based stuff.
Is there
I'm sure in Houston they're more of a historical, I guess.
I have no idea what Houston's like.
I don't know. I've never talked to anybody who's been there.
Is there a Yuri's Night in Houston?
Probably.
Is there a Yuri's Night in Louisiana?
No.
You should start one.
I don't know if I can get enough draw. Well, maybe if I promote it to the crew at Chewbacca.
Do it in. Does Michu not have a visitor center?
No. You can't even just walk in for tours around stuff like at KSC.
Yeah, you'd have to do it somewhere around Michu, that related to Michu.
Well, related
that'd
to
be a cool place.
but it's actually in a bad part of town, so okay. You don't want to do it actually there.
Why am I not surprised by that?
The thing is, it was originally where they used to make the what they call the Higgins boats in World War II. It's the boats that actually landed soldiers on D-Day.
Yeah.
On the beaches. So that's where those were made. And then once that wasn't needed anymore, NASA took it over and started making Saturn V parts there. you can definitely get a lot of their employees to come out and party with that stuff because they're very proud of their work. I'm very proud of their work. I always give them all kinds of love whenever I can, and they don't get enough love from the rest of the world. Probably because they're considered part of Marshall and easily forgotten about. Like, Mishu doesn't even have its own Twitter. They go under Marshall Center.
How far away is Marshall from you?
It's in Alabama. It's in Huntsville.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They fall under the Marshall Space Flight Center. Stennis has its own.
Yeah, Marshall's like 6 hours away.
There's there's a similar issue. There's a similar thing. There's a NASA research lab. It's some university in Wisconsin. I'm not sure which university in Wisconsin, but it's under which one's in Ohio?
Ames or Glenn?
Yeah, it's either I can't remember if it's in Ames or Glenn. It's under one of those, which is nowhere near Wisconsin. But that's what it falls under. There's no NASA center.
That program is not a major NASA facility like Mishu is.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, so you guys are talking about NASA locations. I was telling Seth earlier today that I actually did my first job application for a NASA job.
Yeah, exciting. Hope you get it. It's
yeah, we'll see.
It does seem really fun.
Can we ask what it's for and where it's for?
Yeah, so the hard part with NASA is a lot of times they hire PhDs and people that have been in it for a long time. It's very hard to find something that is either entry level or within the first few years of getting out of college.
Right.
And I had a really good contract job, but that contract ended in October. So I've been looking for a good engineering job since, and my old manager actually, we're still good. And the old manager sent me an email, and it had a link to the job posting on usajobs.com or .gov, whatever it's called. And went on there. It's for the Kennedy Space Center. It's an experimental facilities development job. I would guess it has something to do with either Artemis or SLS.
Ooh,
possibly.
So
yeah, it's interesting.
It'd be amazing. That would be the dream.
Oh yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Regardless of the crap that people throw to Artemis and SLS, we all still want to see it fly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
It'd be amazing.
I want to see it fly twice. Once during the day and once at night.
Yes, exactly. I want to hear it.
Oh,
yes.
I want to hear
Great.
those SRBs. I mean, it's going to be a little bit louder than the space shuttle when you think about it. So, yeah, I definitely want to hear it because that's going to be obnoxious, and I love obnoxious.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but the thing about it is the facilities department at the Kennedy Space Center is they're non-specific to the mission. They control and they govern the facilities development of the entire property.
Oh, okay.
So I would imagine that Kennedy Space Center facilities development would be called in for even maybe some of the Starship equipment that they're going to be building for their fixed or potentially mobile service structure for Starship, of course, SLS, anything. So you have the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station now property, and then there's an imaginary line that divides that and the Kennedy Space Center.
Yeah.
So anything north of that dividing line would constitute the facilities.
Basically, Kennedy Space Center is 39A and B as far as launch pads go.
Yeah, and technically 41, but they give that to the Space Force Station.
Yeah.
I believe that's technically on the north side of the line, but it's ran by the Space Force Station. But yeah, so I think that's really it. So I appreciate everyone for watching. I appreciate everyone for listening. Leave a like, all that stuff. Dustin, thank you so much for coming out. Appreciate all the work you've done with the logo and everything like that. So
yeah, man, I miss you guys.
Yeah, it's better.
That's the one part about not being able to go to launches. You know, I'm sure you spoke about it, but when we had the chance to watch the abort,
that was fun.
It's great being together and being able to watch that. So
one day,
hopefully we get that.
I will never be on the boat again. Not
the
for
boat.
pictures.
I would be on the
Not
boat,
for
but I
pictures.
wouldn't. The next time I do that, though, I would be doing more of an outreach group, so I would not be on the main
Yes.
boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would be on a side boat next time. But
A lot of fun.
I appreciate everyone for coming out, everyone watching.
Yep.
Well, no one coming out because it's not live. But
Oh, man.
everyone watching and listening and all that stuff, make sure you leave a like, rating, subscribe. I'm a YouTuber, so I gotta do all that stuff now.
Yep.
But,
Go
and,
for it.
and happy 50th anniversary, I guess. Of
Happy-
Apollo 13.
happy
their
50th
their live stream is up right now.
happy 50th anniversary of the American people losing interest in the space program just after 9 short years.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
have a good one. We'll see you guys all next Monday.